Okay, hello everyone. Glad to see you on our weekly live event. My name is Petro. I'm senior investment analyst at 3x Capital, and I'll be hosting this event for you. And before we start, let me tell you a few words about 3x Capital. So we are a digital asset investment and advisory firm that operates in Web3 industry. We are running a 3x Club, which is the community of individuals who are inning together in Web3 startups. As a team together in this community, we are organizing educational meetings and various pitch events from startups. If you would like to join us, simply go to our website. You will find the form to submit, or just drop a message to me or any other member of the team. Another our activity of which we are really proud of is the Web3 Investment Analyst course. It's a 3-month course with a fundamental knowledge about real investment cases and investment process. And currently we are planning the 5th cohort application for first 5th cohort. And we would like to encourage you to join us in case of interest or any questions. Go to our website, you will find all details here, or message our educational program lead, Oksana, or as I mentioned, any other member of the team. We will be happy to provide more details about our educational program. And moving forward to our today's event, the event will be about the future of Web3 and the trends for 2023. I am happy to introduce our speaker, Bohdan Chernenko, who is the intern at 3x Capital. He has extensive experience in marketing. He's a specialist with several years of experience working with Web3 startups. He's always looking for troubles to shoot. And before we start, I would love to encourage you to ask questions and provide comments in the chat, and we will answer them all after the presentation from Bohdan. So that being said, I would like to pass my word to Bohdan. Bohdan, the stage is yours, and we are starting with the presentation.
Yeah, thank you for that. Basically, let's start from the first slide. Yeah. So, when we are basically talking about any predictions in the future, it's basically like sticking finger into the sky and hoping that something will happen, usually. But the analytics and basically any kind of trying to predict what will happen, usually based on what happened before, as it's commonly believed that all the sequence of events happen one after another, and consequences of the previous one lead to the things which happen into the future. So basically, by the 2022, we can see that a lot of stuff happened, right? And we see that it's, some people believe it's like another crypto winter. And I think that the main thing in about every crypto winter, it's about thing that happens and which is the most important. For my scope, I think that for now, during this crypto winter, the main thing and struggle will be between Web 2 and Web 3. But when we are talking about this transition, about this change, commonly we believe that it will be about something like metaverse, or a virtual reality, or augmented reality, or any other fancy things which look great, and etc., etc., etc. But I more keen to explain this transition in terms of jurisprudential, financial, and social shifting from one paradigm of working with internet, online, and between the people, and etc., to the new paradigm of using some new solutions, new approaches, and etc. Moving from casual banking to banking with crypto implementations of technologies, and etc. From casual interaction between the people to the interaction with the possibilities of the latest technologies, and etc. So that will be the most common understanding of transition, in my belief. This year, we basically will face the results of the last year, the result of those projects, those products which basically were quite unjustly and stupidly sometimes managed, which led to the consequences of the financial losses and etc. That's quite common. But this like downfall basically forces the world to react in the way of inviting legislation into cryptosphere. So I believe that for common folk, for casual people who are interested in crypto and etc., the most important thing will be rules. Um, I made the specific article trying to explain a little bit more about every of these things, but the main idea, which I believe will be the most important, that the time of, let's say, crypto Wild West is coming to the end, one way or another. And we can see it basically almost in every guideline, almost every week about the cryptosphere. Like with Binance trying to comply with the governments, like any other crypto project trying to find the solution, how to deal with the real world finance system and do not break itself by the this like by this trying to communicate, right? And when we will look about all of this stuff, like Luna, FTX, Voyager, 3 Hours Capital, BlockFi, Celsius, Genesis, it's basically very prominent examples of something that went wrong, and at the same time, which didn't somehow comply with the rules of the world, which we have in casual financial system. The simplest, like the example is quite simple. If we will talk about FTX and look into documents inside of FTX, how they manage the company, etc., that basically a miracle that they hold for so long, counting the fact that they basically broke a lot of rules, which they shouldn't do, like which basically any financial company shouldn't do at all, and it still works, and it worked until the last year, and that was basically just a miracle. And the same goes basically for any other thing which you will look in this list. So yeah, transitioning to the next thing, we can look at the main concerns, like main things which we need to look into with this very uncertain and very problematic year, right? Basically, there is only 5 things which we definitely should look into, right? It's basically regulations, like how major players of the market will comply with the legislation and rules of US and EU, because these 2 regions are the most important because they are the most wealthy. Also, another thing which is quite important is basically looking into the overall state of economy, because inflation, etc., influences the thing, how it goes, how it works, how it will be great or won't be great for us and everybody around. Because if people have money, they have something to invest, and that will improve the situation in the crypto market too. We live at the time when crypto market do not live separately from the economical world right now. So this connection will be even more significant in the future with the rules and etc. Taking into the crypto and making it more and more, I would say, not stable, but understandable and feasible to the rules and laws of the jungle. Yeah, it still will be jungle, but at least it will be with the rules. So another thing which will be detrimental for the end of crypto winter, and basically this crypto winter finds the thing that it's not so deep and difficult as the previous one, because people understand that it's only winter, the spring comes and etc. But the time when it comes is determined by the ability to provide the value, by the product, by the use case, and etc. So if we will find, like, if some kind of product will find a great way to the real world with its implication, etc., that will be like predetermination of the new crypto rising and bull run. Basically, when we see that something works with the real world and it works fine, it works good, bam, that's basically will be the end of crypto winter in a very short perspective. But so far, it depends. Also, we need to look at the state of war in Ukraine, because it's also very important for the Europe and US. Because if we will imagine that it will come to the end in next month, we can expect the very strong economical uprising after for a half a year at least. So that will be also very important part of it. Uh, Being not directly connected to any crypto stuff and etc., it's still very important for the overall economy, and overall economy is important for the crypto. That's quite obvious. And the last thing, which is connected to technological advancement and etc., is basically AI hype, which started in the end of 2022 with ChatGPT and etc. So basically, it is expected that we will see a lot of it, and we will come to this topic a little bit later, as we will go into every separate issue of crypto with discussion of what's happening inside of it. Okay, so let's come to the next one with DeFi and CeFi issue, right? We have the problem with centralized financial structures, because they are not transparent enough. We don't understand how exactly they work. We don't understand where exactly the funds are located and etc. And that becomes a problem. Also, there is a problem of personal data. There is a problem of many different factors which influence how it behaves and etc. So people overall believe that DeFi can be the answer. Unfortunately, it won't be the answer in the nearest future completely, and I'm mostly keen to believe that it will be basically combination of DeFi and CeFi into something one, which will be the answer for CeFi issues, trying to solve the problems which exist in DeFi for now. Because we want to believe that decentralized finances will be a great answer for everything, etc. But every wonderful idea usually faces the harsh reality of many different factors which can be problematic. For now, I see that these problematic features will be around legislation. That's the first one and the most obvious one. And second one, it's about basically data. Because if we will think about it thoroughly, majority of people do not really want to put their assets into something without security options, but not in terms of technology, but in terms of uh, the belief that they can find the way to withdraw it even without technical possibility if something wrong happens and etc. And from the state point of view, decentralized finances, it's too decentralized, it's too hard to manage and control if something wrong happens. And that's why I believe that KYC in some way, one or another, will be the part of this basically thing. Because I know that a lot of people don't like KYC, a lot of people don't want to share their personal data, but from the other point, I don't know how people would expect that it will work with the world finances and etc. It will work in different countries. It will work with economical things and etc. without being basically a part of it. It's a pipe dream, in my opinion. And basically, being the person who worked with several specifically financial solutions in this part, I perfectly understand that it's extremely difficult to make something that can avoid these problems. And if we will try to even find the way, it will be almost impossible to make it through a lot of different regulatory things around the world. Not even like for one or two countries, but basically for those countries which really care about it, they will be basically impossible to pass. When we talk about NFT, that's basically the thing of the last year, right? It's basically the thing which was the most hype stuff. Everybody was interested in it, but nobody really had the idea what exactly it is. Like for what really you use that? I mean, there was a lot of implications and etc. trying to say that it's something very valuable. But when we are looking about these apes, whales, or whatever zoo creature or animal you can try to think about, is there any clear value behind such approach? Basically, this question is the main issue about the NFT hype of the last year because there was like a lot of stuff, a lot of things happening, a lot of money involved, but not much of the stuff made of it. And that's basically a huge problem because the technology itself is very interesting. It's very nice to use in many different ways, which are completely different from just making a picture with some kind of like intrinsic value that you hope will work out within it. I think that until we will see a very good and very clear approach of using this technology in something really meaningful, like contracts, like papers, proofs, tickets, or other things which basically predetermine the thing about unique token of something involved with the information handling and basically transitions from one place to another, basically saving this uniqueness and etc. We won't see a very good thing about it. I mean, we won't we won't see how exactly it can be well done so far. It's not like the NFT is over. It's not like that it doesn't work and etc. It's just the previous experience with that wasn't really great, and a lot of lessons are taken into the account by the people who were observing that. And I saw a lot of interesting projects which try to connect NFT with music, with fine art, with culture, with other things, and etc. But they are not so high involving, I would say. And I still believe that there will be a lot of very good things around it, but mainly around ownership, around contracts, around some kind of like, you know, law enforcement papers, which will work really well because they will be extremely difficult to fabricate and extremely difficult to not differentiate one from another, as the non fungible thing should work in this case basically the best. So let's come to the most hyped stuff about AI, about artificial intelligence, because ChatGPT, DALL-E, and etc. showed us that well, AI is a thing and and it works much better than many people expected. And basically, this breakthrough of expectations from the majority of the people forces a lot of projects basically believe that if they will add something AI, that will draw a lot of attention, and that will be good for any kind of startup and etc. And they can make it well throughout the way. Just thinking like, well, let's start with this, and we will find how to make it, what it will do, and etc. By the way of making it, so we can see basically like not dozens but hundreds of different crypto projects and etc. Hastily trying to implement AI inside, even if it's not something meaningful in the product itself. So if that thing will go by this way, we can say that throughout 2023 we will have so many of these projects that it will basically destroy the expectations of many people, and that will be similar to NFT or situation of the last year. But still, the topic and technology is very interesting, and we can see already how deep it can go on. And it's not like we do not need to pay attention to it or believing that it will die out in a year and etc. I mean that throughout so many different projects which will appear during this year, we will need to see only several of them, which will be the most successful and the most meaningful in terms of value which their idea will bring. So that will be the most important part about AI, which we need to look into. Because there will be a lot of fuss, a lot of information, a lot of stuff. It's already happening inside of the cryptosphere because all the projects which are connected to AI already gathered more than $5 billion inside of cryptosphere, basically taking 0.4, like 0.4% of the overall total mass of like crypto money which are going around. So it's basically rising, and it will be rising for the next month and etc. So that's basically a trend we just started, and we are basically watching it right now. The point is we need to look into important stuff. Yeah. So about GameFi, it's very important for me thing because I really like games and etc. Like gamer in the soul. But what we basically all can see about the GameFi, that in this abbreviation there is a lot of fi but not enough of game, and that will be the main problem of any project which basically try to make game with finances. It's very tricky balance, and there are a lot of different projects which propose very different things, very different ideas and etc., but mostly they have very weak or very strange financial implication of what they want to do with the game, and even less meaningful gameplay or the game behind it. There are a lot of casual TradFi, like, or Web2, whatever you can call it, basically casual games which make really good economy inside of it and basically make money out of it. But I believe that until we will face the project which will put game first and finances later, because if there is no entertainment, there is no game. There is no basically GameFi if you don't have a game itself. It doesn't make sense. We won't see any great results in this sphere because making a gaming industry without without game, without entertainment, without fun, just for making basically another laundry machine of money and etc., trying to squeeze out something out of something, it's basically more of casino like stuff than any kind of like gaming stuff and etc. So first of all, we as the people who look at this market, when we see any kind of project, the first thing which we need to ask, what's fun about it? Because if there is no fun, there is no income. Because the main purpose of any game, it doesn't matter which one in which sphere and etc., it's first of all make fun. If there is no fun, there is no value. If there is no value, nobody will basically pay for it. And that's the main problem of majority of the things which basically happening inside of GameFi itself. I saw so many different things, but I just don't understand what's so fun about it. What's so fun about any kind of GameFi project so far? And if they will not find the answer, it will be disaster and failure every time. So let's look for fun, and we will find success. That's about GameFi. About second layer solutions, that's more of a technical implication of the topic and etc. We see that there are some solutions which try to handle still the problems of Ethereum and etc. And the problems are basically not the thing that will become non-existent, because if something in development and etc., it becomes better, it's prone to have more problems with the time. And if you fix previous problems, new problems appear. And I believe that basically all the stuff about second layer, it's basically a race of innovations, which will be useful mostly for Ethereum itself. Because we can see that all the improvements which are made throughout last years eventually come to the Ethereum itself, one way or another, basically improving the Ethereum ecosystem, first of all. And having a belief that anything that comes out of Ethereum can outgrow or become better than that, it's a very strange position, if we will think about it. Because if you make something on something, you need to understand how exactly it should be better. But there is nothing better than the current Ethereum stuff which we have. And basically, in terms of evolutionary process and etc., I understand that there is a lot of technology put into that. There's a lot of efforts put, like people have put into different layer 2 solutions and etc. But if we will imagine that tomorrow Ethereum is gone, all of them will have a lot of problems. And that's basically the main problem of the second layer solutions overall. It's not like we cannot make money out of it. We can, definitely. But if we will look into a long perspective, very long, I don't know how exactly they should be better than Ethereum itself. It's very difficult to say. They can complement it, yeah, but I don't think that these complements will be better than Ethereum itself. So overall state for now, it's something like the situation in between. We see a lot of rising things around us, and adoption of crypto and etc. into real world, into casual stuff is more and more prevalent. A lot of reports, for example, from marketing agency Woodman Thompson, etc., has much more crypto stuff in top 100 trends for this year than any of the last years before. More than half of 100 brands somehow connected, 100 predictions of their 100 things that will be great in 2023, because they have annual report about predictions of what will be popular and etc. More than half of this stuff right now, it's about crypto or somehow connected to that. And if we will look about this, that's basically the sign that we are on the verge of real mass adoption. Not the mass adoption that we expect to happen somewhere in the future, but it's just happening right now with us, with the understanding what's happening around us. Because people face common problems, and the crypto, like cryptocurrencies and basically a lot of different things, can somehow manage or solve some of these problems if we will find a great solution. So basically, this year will be about waiting that appearance of great discoveries, of great solutions, of great use cases, while we are having the resources from the previous bull run, which expected. I do not believe that the majority of the people who were building the product didn't expect something like that happening like the last year, because we can feel that it's not so devastating than it was before, and people understand that for the next bull run they need to make something great, and for that something great they need resources, and basically those who gather resources and continue building something, they will find a way to make it throughout this difficult part, and we will see very, very great results basically around the time of the halving of Bitcoin. But it's not because of the halving of Bitcoin, but because of people who are into this year. They already know what to do somehow, and they are not surprised with the things happening around, and they're just like trying to make this stuff better with the products. So that's my basically prediction, that we will see this like handling of the prices like it's happening right now, not too far, like not too far high, not too far less. It will be just like in this, like in between, and around the end of the year we may see something good happening with the expectations of the next year. So if we won't see something unbelievable in terms of very great product which will basically reimagine all the stuff we know about the crypto and etc. So yeah, That's the thing. Anyway, that's all about the stuff which I wanted to say. You can have a little bit more of details with the quotes, with the things in the article which I wrote. It also has a little bit more jokes, so I hope you will like it. Anyway, if there is any questions, I'm ready to answer.
Yes, thank you so much, Bogdan, for your presentation. It was great to listen about trends and your expectations from the market. So while we are waiting for a community to ask their questions, yes, audience, feel free to write anything that you would like to know in our chat. And I personally also would like to ask a question from you. And let's start from me. I can see that also we have a question from Serhi, but let's start from myself. What are your thinking? What is your thinking and ideas about the social finance and distribution of a creator economy? Are you think the trend in this industry?
Basically, it's two different entities because the idea of decentralized finances implies that we want to make a fair system for everybody. But if we look into the world and segregation of resources, we see that the problem of a fair distribution is basically goes into the trend which we don't want to see, because rich people become more rich and poor people become poorer, right? And the cryptosphere, in theory, should somehow manage it, somehow find the way to make it better, and etc. And from a point, I can say that some technologies are really great in terms of solving the problems for poor countries in terms of financial management and etc. But it's not so great in terms of trying to find the way to solve the fundamental problem of poor countries, which are connected to not only corruption, but basically the mental state of those communities and etc., which should be driven by self-awareness and trying to build something upon something they have already. That's a very difficult approach. And that's more about education, that's more about dedication to something than anything about technology and etc. And that's why I'm not really keen to believe that technologies which crypto can put into will rise into something very great for society so far, outside of those communities which are already quite having this well-being, etc. It's very difficult to imagine because it's a shifting of the attitude. It's about very much more fundamental things than any kind of technology you can put upon it. So that's the first thing. About social stuff, it can be great, it can be, but without very good examples, without very thorough approach, without basically those people who can become uh, pioneers that show how exactly it should work, there won't be any good result. Because such things basically work on example, on very good example. And this very good example should be even more of a marketing campaign prominent figure than something akin to very good philanthropic person. Because very good philanthropic person itself, it's not enough. It should be a very good philanthropic person with a very good marketing strategy of how exactly I should implement it and show that it's really cool, great, and stuff. Because one thing doesn't really work well without another, unfortunately. It's not like I don't want it to happen. I just like being very pragmatic about this stuff.
Yes, thank you. And to bring more focus on my question, do you think that in the near future we will see the rivals for big social media like Facebook, for example, Twitter, in terms of decentralized applications and decentralized social media?
It's very hard to tell. It's not like social media will be this as great as they were before, because we can see that just in several years, very good new approach which gives the answer for the needs of the society, like social needs and etc., like TikTok, can basically revamp completely the attitude to social media. And I think that if decentralized approach is the thing that society really needs, and this need meets this demand, that will work. Of course, that will work. But it's not about the technology, it's about the needs of society. Why TikTok is so popular? Because it basically gives the answer for the need of somehow being popular without too much effort and giving the possibility to be great without being too great and etc. And basically and like addressing this short attention span which works with the psychological things and etc. And if we believe that there is a social media which can answer the anxiety of the people right now with a lot of problems happening around, basically, I saw a very good point in that report from Wunde van Thompson that's saying that social media, which give the answer of being positive and trying to make an information bubble which fits the needs of the person, will win into this race of social media. So if we see this decentralized social media application which gives the answer for this need of anxiety and uncertainty of the future, that app will be successful and popular.
Okay, thank you. Interesting take here. And also you're mentioning these marketing report, trend report from a big organization. Yeah. It would be really great if you will share it with our audience lately. Okay, well, let's move to...
Let's move to the questions.
Of course. Let's move to the question from the audience, and I'll try to show it on the stream here. So the question is, I don't know how to show it full size.
I can see, like, is it possible for the growth and development of blockchain technologies to accelerate specifically Ukrainian companies during the military actions in Ukraine? The short answer, yes and no, for all of these questions. Why yes? Because it can be useful in terms of financial security. It can be great in terms of financial decentralization and possibility to have very flexible financial system with very clear way of implementation and using like top-notch technologies to avoid a lot of corruption and basically possibility to facilitate resources in the best way possible. But these technologies will need to fight casual Ukrainian stubbornness in terms of in form of government, which was always very difficult to handle with these things. We can be quite positive about it, having such examples as DIA or something like that, but it will be still extremely difficult if something will go wrong. The chance of something going wrong is quite low. I can definitely tell that there won't be something like nuclear attacks and etc. in nearest future. There is no sign of it and there is no sense of it. But if the fatigue of this military campaign will be still prevalent in the end of this year, not now, but in the end of this year, we may face difficulty of economical growth like it was in 2013, 2014, after the Crimea and Donbass stuff. So it depends on many, many things. That's the first thing. And the second, about which blockchain technologies could accelerate post-war reconstruction in Ukraine, that's basically the answer for this question. Those technologies which can work with prevention of corruption and facilitation and fastening the financial distribution and etc. They will be like the best in terms of it, because if we have a great, like a very clear, great, transparent way of finance distribution, etc., it will be the best example of showing that basically blockchain can help with handling the finances for the country. It's very difficult to implement. It's very dreamlike stuff. But if Ukraine will want to go into this extremely technological advancement and etc., this will be the most useful way, because the investments will definitely come if the war will come to the end. But the problem will be not with the investment itself, but with distribution and implementation. That's where the problem lies. And that's where these technologies may be extremely useful.
Okay, thank you. Great answer. And following the question from Serhii, I just want to add and ask you about what is your idea about the central bank digital currency and its implementation in Ukraine? Do you believe in it?
It's not about belief. It's not about being great or bad, because I don't think that the difference between casual currency and this cryptocurrency will be much different, because if there is no way of handling, limitation to the amount of currency and etc., inflation is still there, right? Does it somehow backed by something? Nobody knows how backed any other currency in the world right now, so there is no basically many difference in this stuff and etc. If we are talking about the security and etc., it may be useful in terms of being much more difficult to fake it, like counterfeit and etc., right? And that can be very useful stuff. That's one thing. Second thing, it can be very useful in terms of tracking how it goes and etc., but not from the point of basically looking after the people and etc., but having the clear image of economical situation and trying to understand the tendencies and trends. Because tendencies and trends, it's very important for the development of the great economy. And basically, if the people who are making these digital currencies are smart enough, they can use it for a very, very great results in terms of development of economical power, etc. So I don't think it's a very bad stuff. No, it's a good one, and there is no much difference you should expect from a casual one currency, because it doesn't make sense to make something different that it works already. But just use the things that can be improved so far, so it will give you better results and better statistics on the stuff that's going on around. So that's my expectation about it.
Yes, definitely. It will open a lot of doors of tracking the flow of money and implementing it into various statistic activities. And
yeah, basically, we should expect it to be used for statistics, for understanding the trends, for understanding how exactly it will be better to address one problem or another.
Great, thank you. Let's move to the question from Tommy. And do you think user-generated content can be a good strategy focus for GameFi applications?
User-generated content as the part of marketing campaign can be really great in terms of facilitation of the community and etc. But it do not answer the main question which I was basically addressing into trying to explain what's the main problem of DeFi. If we have a great game, it doesn't matter what user-generated content we have in the game if it's fun and wonderful to play. I mean, that's very good stuff to have basically in any kind of product you are making, because if you have interaction with users, if you have interaction with your community, it's great. But if the product itself is bad, there is nothing that can save it. Literally, there is nothing. If you have a very mediocre game with very strange gameplay, with very strange stuff, yeah, that's right. Like, you totally get that the game must be fun or nothing will work. But if we are talking about user-generated content, it's very good marketing tool, very good one, because that basically makes the belief that you really care about what your users want. And if you make this belief, these semi-ambassadors of your product or your project will be supportive, much more supportive, even if something bad happens. But first of all, you need to understand that the project itself is worth the trial. Yeah, right. People usually have higher attachment They believe in it more. They understand that they are valuable assets for the community, and they are valuable assets for the people who are making the project. Not only in GameFi, but basically it can be for anything. Because if some kind of user comes up with a great idea for any product, it's a very great stuff. And it's not only about the game, it can be basically in anything. So I don't think that user-generated content is only for GameFi. It's basically for everything. You can use it everywhere. It's just the matter of your understanding how exactly you can make it. Okay.
Great.
What's your personal view on LSD trend in crypto? Not really sure that I'm understand right the abbreviation LSD.
Yeah, let me explain it. It's liquid staking derivatives, something that Lido is actually doing with the Ethereum staking, and there are some other providers like Rocket Pool, where you basically can stake the asset and receive a liquid derivative on top of it and use it one more time in various DeFi protocols to generate additional yield. Yep. Have you heard about it previously?
I heard similar stuff. It's basically like leverage trading, but with a little bit more simple way to make it up, as far as I understand. And I don't know how exactly I need to feel about it, because it's not something completely new, if you will think about it. But the main concerns about it stay the same. If something goes wrong, it's much worse for you. That's the main point of any leverage trading. Because if one point of your grand scheme fails, you will face much more problems than it was before. That's why basically the main concern about this stuff is basically the safety and possibility to provide constant value, like constant gain, and having no issue with security, with understanding what's going on and where it is going on. So basically it works great with very stable and safe assets. I believe so. Is it a bad idea? No, it's not, because it works in the real world, so it should work in the crypto too. It's just the matter of how exactly it's made of, and is it something that may have insurance? Because if it has insurance and this insurance work, it will be much more safe and much better from the start.
Yes, good point on insurance. I can see that there are some companies that are trying to build insurance for DeFi and for various staking protocols. And I agree on that it can be a big thing for the
basically
where everyone will use insurances.
The point of insurance is very important for me, because I'm the person who is connected to one of the ideas of implementation of the insurance and etc. So that's very good stuff. But why I didn't include it into the report and etc. Because insurance is a very niche thing, and I don't think that it's something that will shape overall industry and etc. But it just makes things a little bit more easy and safe. It's just an adjustment to the things that are happening right now. And if we have a very good tool which can make basically everything a little bit more safe, everything a little bit more stable, and having the possibility to provide assurance for the people, it will be even better. So that's why I think that insurance will be a great part of financial system into DeFi, because it can be a little bit more flexible than casual insurance that we can see in real world.
100% agree on that. And I can see that we have no more question from audience. And let me follow up here real quickly. As we mentioned at the beginning, Bohdan is a participant of our educational program. And the question for you right now, what is your take on education in Web3? And can you also provide our audience with some insights from our educational program?
The most important thing, if you are working with the data, it's basically the ways to find the data. And I can say that a lot of information was useful into looking how exactly you analyze a lot of stuff around. And I can definitely say that the course is not something for analyzing the world, but it's very great in terms of analyzing the specific projects and how well they can perform. And in this basically analytic material, or whatever you can name it, I was using a little bit of this understanding in terms of very separate projects, because these projects, which basically become the example of what's going good or what's going bad, can become a very good solid foundation for a very thorough and adequate analysis and understanding what's going on, not only with the specific one, but overall stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And there is an additional question from the community, and I believe it was the question to Tommy, but we can take also on it.
Yeah, like what did you mean with user-generated content? Is it something like Sandbox, where most of the game revolves around users building games in Sandbox world, or content published by a community on various platforms? Well, that's two completely different approaches, in fact. And when we think about the first one, the first thing that comes to your mind is basically Minecraft, right? Like the game Sandbox, which works great, everything works around wonderful, and everything is okay about it, right? In fact, when we are talking about Sandbox world, it's very difficult to determine how exactly it should be made of in terms of the game, right? Because when we are trying to make a game, we have clear image or idea how exactly or not exactly it can work or it will work, right? But when we are putting inside the finance part, the things become much more difficult. When we are making a sandbox, we need to understand that user-generated content, is it something? So yeah, it's somehow a little bit of yeah, it's connected to the stuff of sandbox, as far as I understand. Um, Create their own dungeons, maps to play our defense in PvP multiplayer mode. So basically, I can understand where it's going from. Yeah, basically, it's like rewards for content creation in terms of making the game better inside of it. Is it a working economical scheme? I guess, yeah, it works. It can make in-game economy, it can make market, but it will be very important to understand the economical implication, like how exactly you can evaluate one thing or another. That will be like the most detrimental and problematic part of it. Because if we will imagine that we will have thousands of people who want to be a creator and etc., and we will need to somehow evaluate their job. From one point, it can be something wonderful, very interesting, very nice, uh, but not very working. And from the other point, we can see something that's very simple, generic, which was made by basically like spending half an hour, and it works great. It's very difficult to like differentiate the value of this work because it's two completely different approaches, but one of them is definitely better, and surprisingly enough, definitely better will be the one which took much less time with much higher result. And that's quite interesting thing in terms of sandbox in this case. Because if we have a sandbox with the materials which hold value and you somehow need to spend a lot of time grinding it and etc., it's completely different approach. And basically, I can say that in terms of this example, that's more about creativity and being lazy, if we can say it like that, than being very time consuming. So I would recommend to think about like good points in terms of such game and etc., that it demands not too much time, it demands creativity and talent. And if you will pay attention to such approach and etc., it can be much better than anything connected to such GameFind games, which completely work around buying some stuff, and you can make better stuff by grinding this stuff, like boots or pads or whatever, something like that.
Yeah,
But the main
thank
point
you.
will be about fun. Yeah, still.
Of course, there is no gaming without the fun. Yeah, thank you for going so much in details, and also thank you, Tommy, for clarifying your idea in the chat. It's looking interesting. And what I can say, we can finish here, and I'm really grateful for everyone for joining us. And Bogdan, thank you for your time and insightful presentation. And for the next week, Saturday, we will have another live event. So guys, join us. We will talk about blockchains and on-chain metrics with our general partner, Ivan. So we will wait you there. And for today, thank you so much, everyone, and enjoy your weekend and the rest of the day. Goodbye.